Let us start with a simple and gentle question together. If you imagine yourself retiring early at the age of 50, what kind of number comes to your mind for a lot of people? That number feels like a mountain that is just a little bit too high to climb. Maybe 3 million or 5 million or even more. It can feel so out of reach that we stop dreaming altogether. But what if I told you that a beautiful retirement might be possible with far less than you ever imagined? We just have to change how we think about our money and our time. Most people start this journey by asking how much they can withdraw from their pile of savings. But that question alone can point us in a stressful direction. Modern retirement planning is really about shifting our focus and asking, what do I need my money to do for me and when do I need it to happen? I want to walk you through a scenario that feels real and tangible, a framework that might help you find your own sense of decency. Imagine you are 50 years old and you have built a $2 million portfolio through years of steady work and consistent saving. You have stayed the course and now you are asking yourself if this is enough to support the life you want to live. Retiring at 50 means you are planning for a journey that could last 40 years or even longer. So we need a plan that is as resilient as you are. One of the biggest things we hear in the world of finance is this idea that you pick one fixed withdrawal rate and stick to it forever. People talk about 3% or 4%, like they are rules carved in stone, but that is not how our lives actually flow. More importantly, all the best research tells us that this rigid way of thinking is not how we should plan for a long and happy life. Retirement is dynamic, and our spending naturally changes as we move through different seasons of our existence. The risks you face when you are 50 are very different from the risks you will face when you are 70 or 80. Some of the most heartening research shows that if you are willing to make small and flexible adjustments, your plan becomes much more likely to succeed. Most retirees do not actually spend the same amount of money every single year for the rest of their lives. Data shows that many people naturally reduce their spending by a little bit each year as they get older and move into a slower pace of life. The idea that you need a perfectly fixed income forever just is not realistic for the way we truly live. Instead of looking at your portfolio as one big and scary pot of money, we can think in terms of time horizons. This is where the idea of buckets comes in, and it is a way to visually and strategically separate your money based on when you plan to use it. Buckets are not magic, but they allow us to feel more organized and intentional with the wealth we have worked so hard to build. When you are looking at an early retirement, this becomes incredibly important because the early years carry a unique kind of weight. The risks you face in those first 10 or 15 years can have a big impact on everything that comes after. It is not just about the average returns over a long time. It is about making sure we do not have to sell our investments when the market is feeling a bit grumpy. If you retire into a bad market and you are forced to sell your stocks to pay for your life, it can hurt your plan in a way that is hard to fix. To solve this, we can break our $2 million into 3 distinct and meaningful buckets. Bucket number 1 is our safety bucket, and this is for your near-term spending over the next 5 to 8 years. This money stays in very stable places like cash or short-term bonds where the goal is not growth but total protection. This is your sanctuary. So if the markets drop tomorrow, you do not have to worry because your daily life is already paid for. You can keep enjoying your mornings and your walks without ever having to disrupt your long-term investments. Bucket number 2 is our bridge, the money you might need between 8 and 15 years from now. This part is invested a bit more moderately, with a balance of growth and stability to keep things moving forward. The job of this bridge is to slowly refill your safety bucket whenever the market is doing well and giving us a little extra. Then we have bucket number 3, which is your longest-term money that you might not touch for 15 years or more. This money is invested for growth because it has all the time in the world to recover from any bumps in the road. This is the money that will be there to support you later in life, and the key is to let it sit and compound in peace. With these 3 buckets, we move away from a static rule and toward a life that feels structured and manageable. When you look at a big pile of money, it can feel fragile, but when you break it down by time, it starts to feel like a real plan. Let us put some real numbers to this to see how it might look for a robust and comfortable lifestyle. Let us assume you want to spend $120,000 every year from the age of 50 until you reach 66. Then, when Social Security begins at 67, you might decide to let your spending settle down to $100,000 a year. While it is unlikely you will change your spending on your exact birthday, the data shows that this downward trend is very common as we age. In our example, Social Security might bring in about $43,000 a year starting at 67. This means that later in life, your portfolio only needs to provide about $56,000 to cover your needs. That is a huge shift because your investments go from being your only source of income to being a gentle supplement. Let us build bucket 1 first, our safety bucket to cover those first 8 years of your new life. We want to be conservative here because this is the money that buys your peace of mind every single day. We might put about $950,000 into this bucket to fund your life with total security. This money is held in very safe places, and while it might not grow much, its real job is to protect you from the volatility of the world. Some people might feel that holding 8 years of cash is too cautious, but when you are living your dream, caution feels a lot like comfort. This is a critical shift in how we think. This money is not meant to be saved forever. It is meant to be spent and enjoyed. By using this bucket, you are giving the rest of your portfolio the gift of time, time to breathe and grow without being disturbed. Then we move to bucket 2, our bridge for the years between 58 and 66. We want to account for a little bit of inflation here, so we might set this bucket at about $700,000 today. Since this money has some time before we need it, we can let it capture some of the growth of the stock market. It is a balanced approach that gives us a bit of equity exposure while still keeping a foot on solid ground. This bridge helps prevent us from keeping too much cash for too long, making the whole plan more efficient and healthy. Finally, we reach bucket 3, our long-term growth engine that we will not touch until we turn 67 to support that $56,000 we need later on. We might only need to start this bucket with about $285,000. That number might seem small compared to the others, but remember that it has 17 years to grow in secret because we are not touching it. This bucket can handle a lot of volatility without ever affecting your daily happiness. Let us look at what happens if we started this bucket during one of the worst times in history, like the year 1970. Even if the market dropped significantly right after you started, 17 years of compounding would have turned that small seed into a massive harvest. If you stay invested and do not touch the money during the scary times, the long-term history of the world works in your favor. This is the entire strategy. One bucket protects you now, one bridges the gap, and one is left alone to thrive. Even if the world goes through extreme cycles, your lifestyle stays the same because your safety bucket is already full. This plan does not just survive the hard times. It allows your wealth to grow into a cushion that gives you even more options later. Maybe you want to help your family, or leave a beautiful legacy behind, or give to causes that mean something to your heart. Buckets 1 and 2 are there for you to use and enjoy. And it is okay to spend the money you have worked so hard to save. You are allowed to use your wealth to create a life that feels good and meaningful to you. When we add it all up, this whole structure requires about $1.94 million to fund a very comfortable retirement. Since we started with $2 million, we even have a little bit of a buffer to make things feel even more secure. It means that with $2 million, you could safely spend $10,000 a month in your 50s and early 60s. This approach is grounded in the way retirement truly works, moving away from simple rules and toward your actual needs. When you look at your money like this, the idea of an early retirement starts to feel much more tangible and real. It stops being a scary math problem and starts being a map to a life where you have the bottom line of confidence you deserve. I know that sometimes making these videos can be a bit of a race against the world, with landscapers outside and dogs barking at the door. Life is full of little interruptions and noise, much like the stock market itself. My little Yorkie Peanut was certainly doing his job today by letting me know that someone was working in the yard. But even with the barking and the chasing around the house, we find a way to finish what we started. Money and life are a bit like that too. We just have to keep our focus on what really matters and let the noise fade away. The job of our money is to help us refill our buckets of joy and peace, and sometimes we have to be a little patient to get there. I really hope this example gives you a new way to think about your own journey and the numbers you are aiming for. You do not need a perfect or a massive number to start living a life that feels intentional and free. You just need a plan that respects your need for safety today and your desire for growth tomorrow. I post new videos every single week to help you find your way through the complex world of finance with a bit more softness. If this perspective brought a little bit of calm to your day, I would be so grateful if you shared that with me. It is a beautiful thing to realize that early retirement might be closer than you thought if you just shift your perspective. I want you to feel like you can breathe again when you look at your bank account, knowing that every dollar has a purpose, whether you are just starting your career or you are getting close to that 50-year mark. You have the power to shape your future. It is all about being a gentle manager of the resources you have and trusting the process of time and patience. I will see you very soon in the next video where we will keep exploring how to build a life of decency and peace. Thank you for spending this time with me. It really means the world to have you here in this quiet corner of the internet. Take care of yourself and your dreams, and remember that you are doing a wonderful job. Everything is going to be just fine. One bucket at a time. Actually, it is going to be better than fine. It is going to be exactly what you need it to be. The world will keep spinning and the markets will keep moving, but your peace of mind is something you can build right now. I am sending you so much good energy as you think about your own buckets and your own path forward. It is a journey worth taking, and I am so glad we are walking it together. Goodbye for now, and I will talk to you very soon. Take a deep breath and enjoy the rest of your day. You have earned it. Really, you have. Bye.